So last time we had covered till point 68, Bhagavad Vyamohamu. Uh, we'll start from point 69, which is Parabhakti. Parabhakti, it is bhakti towards the divine, and unless this develops, it is difficult to come out of Bhagavad Vyamohamu. Parabhakti involves not only attachment to the divine, but also the divine accepts the person, a stage of initiation. Saint Mirabai is well known for her love and devotion towards Lord Krishna. In Parabhakti, the bhakti is more to the divine. That is, it is not connected with you, but is something more. In bhakti, it will be as you want it. You want to enjoy it here. In Parabhakti, we try to get attached to the Param. Goal is not replaced now. Instead of one form, we try to go above. Parabhakti involves not only your attachment to the ultimate, but the ultimate also is yearning towards you. You know that the divinity wants you. You have the Vyamoha to the master, but the Vyamoha is lost the moment he accepts me. No more Vyamohamu, because I have reached him. Actually, this is a state where a person gets initiated. You must get into that state of Vyamoha. Once Sandana and Vyamohamu get crossed, then we will accept whatever he says. When Bhagavad Vyamohamu becomes my pravitti, then Bhagwan accepts me. That is the Parabhakti. It's a state of initiation. Though the awareness of the goal is there, there is no contact with the goal at all. People can delude themselves that they have got the contact from first day. There is nothing wrong. Nothing prevents his world. You have got contact only to the Guru. Guru Bhakti must start. The person who is training you has to be given the proper place in your heart. Then that becomes the Bhakti. The Guru Nishtha spoke of earlier matures itself into a state of Parabhakti. At that time, the Guru also says, I am prepared to accept you. That is the state of initiation. And the Atmani Vedanam that we have talked about has to happen first to the Guru. Then it becomes one of doing it for the divine. Because the Guru has already offered his Atma to him. You also, along with him, offer. The Purusha Sukta, which talked about the Purusha Medha actually, where the God himself comes out as many. Ekoham Bhaushyam, as Babuji puts it, happens at the stage of Parabhakti. That is the divine yawning towards you. It accepts you. The two-way process till that time, it is one-way process. So the Nivedana can either be before or after. Though in our map it has come after. It does not matter much. Then this comes into a state of Parama Bhakti. That is, even the master whom we have got, we know that he is there and we have offered ourselves to him, but we start feeling the presence of divinity. The breeze of divinity starts. That is the state that we get at a higher plane, which matures itself into a state of prapanna. The Parama Bhakti becomes Prapanna Gati later on. It transforms itself into that condition. So, till that time, the divine infatuation that we talked about earlier is only infatuation, via Mohamu. Atmani Vedana happens and it finally turns out into a Parama Bhakti, where not only he becomes God himself becomes a matter of adoration for us. Everything that he has created becomes a matter of adoration. I'll take a pause here. I'll move on to the next point. 70, Satsang. A person who develops to the stage of Nityanusandanamu and Bhagvat Vyamohamu naturally develops into Parabhakti and at certain times would lose himself in ecstasy. This can also lead to Garva or ego. Satsang with a master is a must to overcome this obstacle. Here, satsang means not a group congregation, but to be in the presence of the master himself. So I'll move on. Point 71, Madhamu. One of
Madamu,
the five. Hello?
Madamu.
Madhamu. Okay.
Yes.
One of the five makaras that comes in the path of spirituality. It is supposed to get increased in a person who feeds himself with a lot of fat. The greatness of the person, both in form and trait, makes him ignore others with a nonchalant attitude. It is a mental disease that comes out of opulence. In the field of spirituality, religious intolerance has shown its head earlier, and if that was not cured by assiduous practice of cleaning and removed by Master's grace, then it may result in the development of this character. A person with money will have this, as also a person who has a large build. Spiritual growth also gives arrogance. The feeling that you are nearer the master brings about a feeling of arrogance, resulting in paraninda and bro beating. The flaws of oneself also will be dumped on others. Banasura is taken as equivalent to Veerabhadra because he had so many qualities. Shiva has to protect him. So the fight is between Krishna and Shiva. Shiva gets defeated there and Banasura is about to be killed. Parvati then comes and interferes, saying that she has accepted Banasura as a son and asks Lord Krishna not to kill him. Krishna removes all his hands except two, saying that he is arrogant because he has so many hands. She accepts and then makes and and then makes Banasura equal to Nandi and he becomes a Veerbhadra. Next point, 72, Guru Kripa. The aspirant would get into a state of deep absorbency in the conditions of Bhagavad Vyamohamu and Parabhakti, and get stagnated, which is similar to the state of avdhuthood in Bhakti Samrajyamu. The Guru Kripa here is the only way to come out of this situation, and also the Madamu that one has. So next point is 73, Nirmali Karanamu. Purification leading to the state of constant remembrance. The temple tank, generally called as Pushkarani, it is believed that the devotee visiting the temple gets purified both in body and mind by taking a bath. The same faith is there in respect of rivers like Ganges. It is a part of your sadhana. Taking refuge under a guru if you want to get rid of your arrogance. Then you have to move to purification, where you will be cleaned, which leads you to the state of constant remembrance. Constant remembrance is a state of consciousness that develops in the fourth knot, and if it is helped with a pure mind assisted by the Guru's grace, the person can get into catapulted into a state of prapanna, which is only the other side of constant remembrance, coupled with the Nichanu Sandananu that the person had earlier. The state of surrender gets stabilized. So the next point, 74, there is a ladder which is Satat Smaran, constant remembrance, which is taking us to directly cell number 119, which is so the constant remembrance. There's a ladder which takes us directly to the state of Prapanna, which is cell 119. Just for information, it's a long jump from uh, 74 to 119. So, point 74 is Satat Smaran. As I said, there's a big ladder here which takes us to the Prapanna condition from 74 to 119. So, I'll go through this. Constant remembrance is a state of consciousness. The purified mind that is earlier coupled with Guru's grace catapults the person to the state of Prapanna, which is nothing but the other side of constant remembrance. Prapannatva is the condition in the ninth knot. Constant remembrance is a very high state, provided you develop that. Constant remembrance would again mean Nichanu Sandanamu with the Parabhakti, with the Guru Kripa, with the purity of mind. Then you have got the Satat Smaran. If we keep saying that we are always repeating the name of the Master, that does not work. That is not what we are talking. Satat Smaran would mean that you are not capable of thinking anything other than the master himself all the time, and you are resigned to his will. There is no self effort in Nichyanusandanamu. It is a state where there is no question of self effort at all, and you feel that you are incapable of doing anything. Perfect state of Nichyanusandanamu is a very high state. If, however, we miss this and we move on to a state of Uparti, that is fortitude, we are transported to the state of surrender with the help of the master. Satat Smaran, if you can develop earlier, you can go up to Prapanna. Whereas you do not develop Satat Smaran there, and you think that you are still person to do something and are prepared to accept everything as fortitude. You have not denied yourself, you have not denied yourself. I am prepared to put up with the suffering. Whereas in the constant remembrance, if it is backed by Nityanu Sandanamu, there is no question of self effort. You resign yourself to the will of the God. So one goes from Uparati to Saranatva. If you miss that also, you will get Upeksha, that is endurance. I take a pause. I'll move on to the next point. 75, Uparati. So, the next point, 75, also has a ladder which takes you to point 85. So, Uparati, if you develop here, it takes you to 85, which is Chami Karudu. Basically, a person whose mind is with Sthira Chitta, is firmly fixed. So, that is where uh, Uparati takes you. So, I'll go through this. If, however, we miss the constant remembrance, we move on to a state of Uparti, which is fortitude. Then, with the help of Master, we get transported to the state of surrender. Uparti is a Vedantic word for titiksha, concepts related to forbearance, fortitude. Upeksha means endurance. For being in a state of endurance, we come to a state of fortitude. We go naturally. Okay, I'll move on to the next point. 76, Upeksha. Here one still thinks oneself as a person to do something and is prepared to endure. Development of Satat Smaran would have given Prapanna Gati, whereas in the absence of it, one is in a state of endurance. Upeksha is waiting. The person is almost getting neglected. It is almost as if in an interview a person is waiting. Without giving him an interview, the person is made to wait. The fellow will be waiting outside. Upeksha is depicted in the following story. Sage Narada, on the way to Vaikuntha, met two sages. The first one asks Narada to inquire with the Lord how long it takes to get salvation. The second sage also asks for the same. Sage Narada, on the way back, meets the first sage and tells him that it would take 3 more lives. The sage gets dejected. Then Narada meets the second sage and tells him that it would take as many lives as the number of leaves on the tamarind tree. On hearing this, the sage becomes ecstatic about the possibility of getting salvation, even if it takes thousands of lives, exhibiting the quality of forbearance. The Lord immediately and grants salvation to the second sage. Can move to the next. 77. So next point is 77 Sthira Chittamu. Sthira Chittamu. At this stage, it is a balanced, steady state of mind. The sun depicts this stage perfectly. He is steady, does not swerve from his path, is always on duty and committed to service. The steady state of mind is a reflection of the Chamikara. When we study the Chitta lake, if it is steady, then it is Sthira Chitta. At that time, the type of light that we find is a reflection of Chamikara. Chamikara means Surya. The sun is steady. Sthira Chitta is a condition. Sthira Chittamu is a condition. If we want to depict to someone who has this, it has to be Lord Hanuman. The funny aspect is that it is the so called monkey has got it. Another depiction can be of Lord Shiva, of whom Anjaneya is a reflection, who is always in the remembrance of Lord Narayana and as Sthirachitta. Of the 16 arts that he has, Shiva has kept the steady one on the head and left the unsteady. That is what is our waning and waxing. Next point is 78 Atmani Vedanamu. It is a state of offering oneself totally to the divine. All the prophets have totally offered themselves to the service of the divine, like Jesus Christ, Prophet Muhammad, Acharya Adi Sankara, Bhagavad Ramanuja, and Madhavacharya. Their entire being was dedicated to the divine. In the life of Rukmini, what we see is she has offered herself entirely to the Lord. If there is no Atmani Vedana, then surrender is not possible. It is a stage of offering oneself totally to the divine, total harakiri. You have to kill yourself. You should be in a position to give yourself. As Babuji Maharaj says, Sheesh diye yadi hari mile, to bhi sasta jaan. That is Atmani Vedana. If your head is given to get God, it is cheap. The bargain is cheap. Atmani Vedana, you have to offer yourself. Nothing is superior to us except the cause of the master. Love for God you should have. We should be prepared to kill. We should be prepared to kill ourselves. The process of tonsuring the head in Tirupati is a sublimation process to symbolize this. Next point is Nirdvan Vamu.
Nirdvangvamu.
Sir, can you say?
Nirdvangvamu.
Nirdvan Vamu. Okay. Surrender has been made to only one person. Univocal state of mind. The goal clarity gets strengthened further. Fanaticism is crossed. Tolerance is not lost, but conviction in one's own path is sustained. Now the steps on the path are steady and firm, giving no scope for any alternative expression of oneself. A state of non dual that is straightforward. Nirdvan Vamu is non dual plainness. It is a state of mind where we do not accept something else, where the goal can only be one. Goal clarity gets strengthened here at the higher level. The surrender has been made only to that person. An approximate English equivalent is univocal. We use the word spashtamu, nirdvanvamu to mean without giving scope for any other thing or no ambiguity. In nirdvanvamu, you would not entertain anything other than the goal. We have already moved out of dvandva. You do not entertain anything else. There is a conviction we don't accept anything else. A state of consciousness where fanaticism is crossed, constant remembrance of goal is achieved, and the steps are now steady and firm, giving no scope for any alternative expression of oneself. Tolerance is not lost, but conviction in one's own path is sustained. Nirdvan Vamu means without mincing words, whatever you do, you are convinced. It is a firm conviction, you do not go back. An incident depicting Karna, the great warrior of Mahabharata. Karna is informed by Lord Surya that Indra would be asking for the natural armor and earrings from him. Karna cannot be vanquished in the battle with these. Indra, in the form of a Brahmin seeking alms, comes to Karna and asks for his armor and earrings. Though Karna recognizes Indra, he gives them without any hesitation. This shows the non dual plainness of Karna, who sticks to his principle of charity, even if it is even if it means a great loss to him. So next point is
Arpan.
Karpanyamu, Karpanyamu.
Hmm.
The helplessness felt at this stage is had in spite of competence. Arjuna was in a helpless state in spite of being the best warrior of his times. He sought guidance from Lord Krishna at the start of Mahabharata war. Next point is 81. Vyartha Prasangamu. Wasteful, irresponsible, idle, and futile talk. Shishupala, the king of Chedi, a cousin of Lord Krishna, is known for his loose talk. Rukmi, brother of Rukmini, promises to marry Rukmini with Shishupala. Rukmini, who is in love with Lord Krishna, seeks his help. Lord Krishna marries Rukmini and takes her off. Shishupala waits for an opportunity to take his revenge. When Yudhishthira honors Lord Krishna first, after the completion of the Rajasuria Yagya, Shishupala insults Lord Krishna in the assembly. Lord Krishna calmly hears to the outbursts for some time and later kills Shishupala. Shishupala cannot be categorized as a lower being because he was killed by God. Lord Krishna did not come to kill you or me. By definition, he is in the higher plane and he goes to God. He is the third incarnation of Jaya. Vijaya, as Dantavakra goes earlier. It is waste talk but not idle talk. No one will listen to you. Shishupala is known for his irresponsible talk, not only when he was killed, but also much before. He indulged in wasteful talk. He is a friend of Jarasandha. Point number 82, Nischala Tattvamu. Nischala Tattvamu. At this stage, there is further stabilization of consciousness, which feels unperturbed under any circumstances. However, this state is not enjoyed throughout in the sense of inactivity. It is an unperturbed attitude under all situations. Represents better this state, a state of balance. After coming to know through Sampati about Sita being held a prisoner at Lanka, all the Vanar warriors ask Jambavan to take up the trip to Lanka. Jamban says he is old and infirm and that he would be able to go to Lanka but would not be able to return. He suggests that Hanuman would be able to make the trip and come back successfully. The settledness of Jambavan enabled him to think properly and take a correct decision. Saranagati, the conditions of Uparti, Upeksha, Atmani Vedana, and Sthira Chittamu, when matured, it transforms itself into the state of Saranatvamu or surrender, where the individual will is removed and the will of the master alone functions. You can see counting from 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, except Vyartha, Prasangamu, All are related to the development of Saranatva. From the condition where we talk about Uparti, accepting things, accept everything as a divine gift, you have to develop all these concepts to come up to that. They are, they are various intermediary buffers. They are enormous states starting from Uparati. In actual life, you will know what it is. Most of us know in situations where our will seems to be different from what is happening, and there is always a conflict, always a fight. There is a lot of friction. For that friction has to go, for the friction has to go, you have to surrender yourself, submit yourselves. Then you have to develop steady mind in that condition. Then you should know there is no difference between your will and other person's will. Then you should have the capacity to excuse the other one. You must get kripanatva. You must get karpanya. Even if someone makes a mistake, forgive them, saying it is okay. Then we get nishchalatva comes. Then saranatva comes. People who say they have surrendered, only when these are there comes surrender. Everybody says they have surrendered. Nothing wrong in aspiring, but one should know these are the states. Otherwise, you will be indulging it vyartha prasangam, wasteful talk, talking unnecessarily that you have surrendered to the master. Why this wasteful talk comes is it is a wasted time. You go on telling that you are surrendered to the master, trying to reassure yourself that you have really surrendered. It is more of reassurance, wasted time, talking unnecessarily. Uh, the picture in the game of life depicts Vibhishan seeking refuge with Lord Rama, a well known example of surrender. The incident goes like this: when Rama and his army are camping on the other side of the sea, Vibhishana tries to reason with Ravana and urges him to return Sita to Lord Rama. At his suggestion, Ravana becomes furious and throws Vibhishana out of Lanka. Vibhishana, with four of his followers, leaves everything, friends, family, and property behind in Lanka and takes refuge in Lord Rama. Lord Rama accepts Vibhishana and promises his protection. This is the act of surrender of Vibhishana to Lord Rama. So we'll take a pause here and continue next time.